What's up, guys? It's your boy Extra Legit again. Today we're in downtown Gettysburg and we're just looking at shops before we go on a tour. And yeah, I'm sorry the video yesterday wasn't very good, but couldn't help it. I did go to a pizza place and I did get full. I ate over. But yeah, we're just checking out places. It's gonna be a more interesting video, I promise. I like ice cream. I wanna look at you. Oh, what do you know? SARS again. Bamboo sticks, so when you try to mess with me, I'm gonna go, what? Shot glasses. Great. Oh, not one of these. Oh no. No. I will get this. I am determined. The ball won't even go in. That's great.
Buildings with some Yankees tomorrow, July 1st, turn on Steinware, German American General. But for our purposes, this road back then was in fact the Emmitsburg Road. Because Emmitsburg, Maryland is only 8 or 10 miles to your right here. We're in southern Pennsylvania, very, very close. Now, down to our left here, our right, excuse me, is where the left wing of the Yankee Army is. General John Reynolds under me. Okay, going up. Everybody ready? Now, is everybody at the door? You don't worry, you won't fall out of there, will you? Very good. Hello! I love your hat. Thank you, girl.
Wait till David. Wait.
Now, folks, here we go on Emmitsburg Road, which ends on our left there, where you intersect with Baltimore Street. So we're in the country. Nothing you see was out there back then except for one building, even before the Battle of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. The large two-story stone building, now appearing off to our right, flying a British flag, was built in 1776 for a pastor that came here from Londonderry, Northern Ireland. His name was Alexander Dobbin. It was full in that very building in 1776. Now back then, it wasn't even Gettysburg yet. Simply called Marsh Creek Settlement, therefore the British flag. Now folks, remember now the Yankee Army's down in front of us. Rebels moving across behind us, southern Pennsylvania. Left wing Commander Reynolds, right down here, 12,000 marching Yankees. He sends his cavalry screen out, head of the marching men as they always did. So right now, Tuesday, June 30th, the day where the big fight begins, coming right towards us are 2,900 men. And they're all on horses. And the full 6 cannons. Yankee cavalry come right towards us. Their boss is a guy named General John Buford, one of the best cavalry commanders in the Northern Army. High ground, we're now traveling up. Because in any military battle, the high ground is the best ground to have. You're kind of shoot further, and it's easier to defend. You can see what's going on all around you. This last day of June, look to our left. There's no iron fence, there's no stone wall, there's no trees, no headstones, not even a monument to the 73rd Ohio Infantry, which you see here in the U.S. Now he takes stone to the high ground, it's a big field, goes through the town behind us. That property on your left, did you hear me in the back of the vehicle? Right? The property you left was purchased after this battle of some of the Union soldiers, the Yankees that lost their life here. So it's dedicated 4 months later on November the 19th. On that day, the most famous dignitary in that cemetery here left will be, of course, President Abraham Lincoln. Will give a statutory speech in the Gettysburg Address. Now, folks, the Union men and the Yankees buried in that cemetery, lost his life here, had a very famous grandson that perhaps you must have heard of. This man will never meet his grandson. He dies here. This man fought the 73rd Ohio Infantry. His name was Private George Nixon III. And he was the grandfather of a past American president, Richard Milhouse Nixon, buried in the cemetery here left, Cemetery Hill. Now we're on Cemetery Hill. We're going to make a right turn now and enter the north end of what is called Cemetery Ridge. Now Cemetery Ridge stops right behind us. It goes down in front of the bus to the south. This place called Little Round Top, our second stop today, one of the most famous soldiers in America. So you have Cemetery Hill and you have Cemetery Ridge here again. Now, another Yankee soldier will lose his life here with another relative we probably all heard about. This man lost his life, this Yankee, over on the ridge to your left, on the outside of that ridge, during the battle. This man was a colonel, and he fought the 20th Massachusetts. And his name was Colonel Paul Joseph Revere, and he was the grandson of the famous patriot from Boston, Paul Revere. This is his life right over there. Now, we're going to cross Cemetery Ridge. We're going to make a right and follow the cavalry back into town last day of June, 2,900 guys on horses and 6 cannon. If you look off to your right-hand side of the list, you can certainly tell these buildings were obviously not here in 1863. Not even Colonel Sanders looks like perhaps was here. I now assure you that he was not here, okay? But look to your left, folks. You see much where the property did look during the battle, all open fields. Even the fences are put back about where they were, of the same styles the farmers had them during the battle. You see a small house and a barn to your left. Here during the battle, fighting happened all around them. That was actually a 12-acre farm that was owned and farmed by a free black American named Abraham Bryant. Has to flee the area when the rebel army invaded Pennsylvania. It did not matter if some of the southern and bounty men, free blacks escaped slaves, taken back to the south and sold back into slavery. In the words of a person of that era, very cruel and unusual time, 154 years ago. Your right side was very common here in 1863. It's called a stacked rail fence around these parks. Simply used to keep your animals and water off your property. It's easy to take down and move around. Now, more easy to move than the more common, of course, post and rail fence now appearing to your right front. So here we go now, the last day of June with the Yankee cavalry. Yankees down below us, right behind us, 8 or 10 miles, and off to our right over here. And Buford looks up to his right. There's no trees, there's no stone wall. These are all fields, as you see on your right-hand side now, as we move back into town. Now, remember now, the Confederate Army, I'll say this a few times in the first hour or so, they're divided in 3 parts. You cannot be on the same road together, take out supplies. These rebel forces are never more than a day or a day and a half march away from each other. And 1/3 is to our north in front of the bus, and they're up there at a place called Carlisle, Pennsylvania, maybe 25 miles. These rebels up here are going to run to the capital of Harrisburg. Another third, Lee himself is off to our left, and they're coming to our right, moving north Pennsylvania. And the last third we talked about came to this town just 4 days ago. From our left to our right, they went. They're all moving in this direction towards Philadelphia. Now, people here are simply in a panic. Just 4 days ago, thousands of rebel soldiers came right through this town, taking everything they could find, food, horses, sheep, mules, whatever, but paying for Confederate script and IOUs, of course, to move across Pennsylvania. Now, this last day of June 1863, when the Yankee cavalry comes into town, 2,900 men, on horses, by the way, the town of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, on that day, was a town of 2,400 people. And so when he lived here, it's the county seat, and that is now, we're Adams County, Pennsylvania, where we travel. It's where the courthouse is, where all the official business is done. 2,400 people. When these two armies get together, north and south, this 3-day battle in July, their combined force is going to be more than 172,000 men. And they're going to bring with them, Abigail, you care to guess how many horses and mules? 3? many? A lot. It's exactly the right answer. Because Abigail, they're going to bring 72,000 horses and mules that require more than 1 million gallons of water to drink every day. And that was just the animals. I can hardly imagine what they would look like, and perhaps I don't ever want to see that. But put this farming together, all the men, all the horses and mules, all the cattle and wagons, go farm. Line up the road in front of you, the road before, it would stretch out by 120 miles. That's how fast they were. Now to go into town, the house is right, let's go down here back there. You can tell what house is here though, because they're going to have a simple plaque by the front door, perhaps a window, that just says Civil War buildings, right side, 1863. Left side of the bus, behind the scaffolding, same thing. Even the one in the right front was here, no siding back then, of course, folks. But however, if you're a civilian during the battle and you had not escaped this town, you got to be in your basement taking shelter. There's a huge storm of shot and shells flying around here for all 3 days. Well, the young woman in town didn't heed the advice. Her name was Catherine Foster, and Catherine and her cousin Belle, when they're upstairs, rear back on the altar left, trying to see what's happening tomorrow morning, July 1st, and they're cannon firing. Told to get down, it could be dangerous. They don't listen right away. So some Yankees marching the road in front of us to the battlefield. They come down and shoot these men along and watch them pass. When they got to their front door, the doctor they were staying along was completely wrecked by an errant Confederate shell, and they now escaped death. Catherine Foster's house now appears when you're left front across the street. You can see the balcony there standing right up there in the back road, not the original balcony in Fort. That's what they were though. Now, that basement in the house she left Catherine's house, she's going to hide a young Yankee corporal in that basement for all 3 days of the battle. Because when the fight starts tomorrow, Wednesday, July 1st, all the Yankees aren't here yet. And they're outnumbered, pushed behind us to the high ground we saw, Cemetery Hill, where the reserves were. Well, the whole town's now occupied by the Confederate Army. And later on, she finds this young corporal wandering around trying to get away. Hides him under a potato bin in her basement. And later on, a Confederate officer with some soldiers came down the steps looking for hiding-out Union men. He looked at Catherine and said, "Are there any Yankees in here?" Catherine said, "I suppose they're all Yankees in here." "Of course they are. They're in Pennsylvania." Then so embarrassed as men, he left the church on the building to save this young man from the Confederate prison camp. See the house on the left? That beautiful come right there? Men look at that house, original house. It's the reason why we know what the weather was like. And in college. And every day, he's already signed to keep all this down, the accurate meteorological measurement, the temperature, the humidity, had a rain gauge, even what the clouds look like. He drew diagrams in his notebook. So that's how we know pretty much how things look here for the 3 days like July. He actually writes his first book about this battle only a few months after the battle. The number was not much more than a pamphlet, but the first book was account by Professor Michael Jacobs, teacher at Pennsylvania College. Now, folks, 7-Eleven, your right front, this circle's not here. But in 1863, during the battle, when the counter-rising the town this last day of June, there's a large hotel sat right there called the Eagle Hotel. And that's where General Buford made his headquarters this last day of June, right front 7-Eleven lot. So, that hotel sat there until 1960, when it burned to the ground in a mysterious fire. Remember now, the Yankees found behind us, coming this way slowly, and General Lee's men, the rebel army, from our left to our right and in front of us, going across Pennsylvania. Well, 2 days ago, on the 28th day of June, General Lee had a rebel scout, or spy, if you will, come to his camp, 25 miles or so off to our left here at Chambersburg, PA. This man's name was Harrison, and Mr. Harrison, of course, in civilian clothes, had just put his horse up, Washington, D.C., and to Frederick, Maryland. He let General Lee know that the Yankee Army was now much closer to Lee than Lee they were, and he had a brand new commander, General Lee, who Lee knew. Now, Lee looks at the map. Here's the town of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Well, they already knew it was here. It's very obvious, because Gettysburg has a distinction a lot of towns do not have. Gettysburg has then and has today a series of 10 roads that come in from all directions, like the roads of a wagon wheel, and they're good roads. You need good roads to support the bad wagons for the hill. And so in towns like this, in between Pittsburgh, 180 miles in front of us, all the way to Philadelphia behind us, it's an obvious choice. Until it's meant to return to Gettysburg. And now, these rebels will turn around and come back right here to us as the cavalry rides in. Now, use your imagination, if you will, in the country again. These buildings are not out of here. Nothing you see was here from here. Imagine a 5-yard road with posts and fence rails on both sides, and that's the west in front of us, and that would look like all those areas. There were a couple of buildings better back then. However, just for a few moments to discuss them. Here we go. Cherry Trees House, no different. Red flag means there's not fire in the building. We're helping many air. But there are a lot of misfires and some more. If you look at the window, when the brick faces the wall, faces the road, excuse me, all by itself, you will see on my side, just lean over the seat, what looks like a black piece of pipe sticking out of that wall on the left-hand side. Can you see it, Melissa? It's actually a Confederate artillery shell. Upstairs window, left side, black piece of pipe. Folks, that's a Confederate artillery shell that was fired 154 years ago from behind this building at a place called Oak Ridge from Rubble Canyon, about a half-mile away, probably a misfire. That shell went through the back brick wall. It crashed through 2 interior rooms. It came out the front wall, made a big hole, I'm sure, landed front door, but did not explode. Now, folks, a lot of faulty fuses in the Southern Army because people do something I've never tried. Don't you ever try this? They would take the shell, the cork fuse in the front, they pull it out, it's faulty, didn't explode the shell. Pull it out, hold it from the shell, pour the gunpowder out, put the shell back where it came through, fix the hole then, to leave the shell on the wall as a memento of the battle, or a badge of honor, if you will. That actual shell goes through the Carey Sheets House in 1863. Now, folks, in 1863, the South was mainly agricultural. They grew crops down there like cotton, corn, sugarcane, and rice. Up here in the north, mostly industrial. Most of the factories were up here. So the Southern Army had a lot of faulty fuses in their equipment. And some of their shells explode too soon, too late, or not at all. But believe me, one explodes right on time because a lot of men will lose their lives here in the next 3 days. Now the first hill in front of us here. On the right-hand side, you'll see a stone house. It sits right up on the road, was lived in by the widow Thompson. They say it's General Lee's headquarters, Robert E. Lee, the rebel army, Army of Northern Virginia, for all 3 days of the battle. But believe me, to July 1st, the house you will see probably has wounded men in and about it. So they say General Lee himself has some meetings and some meals in the house now appearing on your right front, Widow Thompson's house. What you'll see is the actual headquarters area on the left side of the bus behind this building. You'll see they planted the grove of trees again, so there were trees over there. So Thompson's house is right, Lee a couple meetings to the meals. Look on your left. That field there is where Lee had about a dozen tanks. We're now in the area of the headquarters of the Army of Northern Virginia. The Federal Army for all 3 days of the battle. Now, behind the trees to your right front, you're going to see a bridge. And that bridge goes over a railroad track. But during the battle, there was no bridge here yet, nor was there a railroad track under it. The company hardly cut through the hill and laid the road bed. Right now, to your left, Wednesday morning, comes troops from guess where? Wisconsin, left front. Up here, up in New York and Pennsylvania, these Yankees cross these fences and this road, fighting troops at that railroad cut from North Carolina and Mississippi. Folks, in 1996, after a severe storm, a tourist moving through that area will see something suspicious. He calls the Park Service, and they uncover remains of a Civil War soldier that's buried into the battle in 1996. We also left some skeletal remains, a skull, a 69 caliber musket ball, and one glass button. They couldn't determine what such a man bought. He buried in town in the soldier cemetery, grave of the unknown. Now the man on the horse to your right front, General John Reynolds, left wing commander under Meade. He's on his way now, one of the best generals in the Yankee Army. That's the gun on Chambersburg Street, when you left on the McPherson Bridge. Used to be a big farm, we left the farm here today. During the battles here as well. But the man of the hour, in my opinion, standing up straight, right there on your right front with the knocker. So that is General John Reynolds, Yankee cavalry commander. He got here first with his men. Now he's watching the road in front of you, folks. That's that road in front of you. Another mile this morning, July 1st, is the very last lookout post for this Yankee cavalryman. And the guy in charge of that post out there a mile, his name is Lieutenant Marcellus Jones. He's from Chicago. At 7:30 this morning, in the early morning mist, Lieutenant Jones saw a large force of Confederate soldiers marching right down that road towards us, and some men on horses in front of the marching men. He borrowed a carbine rifle from the Scotsman who sat right next to him. He laid on his fence, took careful aim, and fires the first rifle shot of this battle at a man on a horse. That folks, he doesn't hit anybody, it's too far ahead. where large Confederate troops in danger ahead of them. What he cannot know, and what these rebels cannot possibly know, is what will occur after this first rifle shot will be the largest battle of the American Civil War. Where in 3 days they're going to fire more than 569 tons of metal at each other. They'll include 50,000 artillery rounds, cannon shells, and more than 7 million small arms cartridges. It'll cause a combination of both sides about 51,000 casualties. And folks, when you say casualties, that means men that are killed, wounded, captured, and or missing. And folks, it won't just be the biggest battle of the American Civil War. It's in fact the largest battle to ever take place to this very day today in the entire Western Hemisphere. Starts right there, Confederate troops coming towards us. Cavalry guys trying to hold them off until the marching men get on their Reynolds down below us, and they're on their way right now. Folks, some things in my opinion are still be better with sound effects. So we're on McPherson's Ridge. This fighting starts Wednesday morning, July 1st.
The main Union battle line will be right here.
Right here.
On McPherson's Ridge. That's the McPherson barn on your left there. But Buford has sent a line of advanced skirmishers ahead there to Hers Ridge, where you can see those buildings in the distance on your right. Those men have dismounted, every fourth man holding the horses of another 3 so they are completely free to fight. For almost 2 hours, those skirmishers have been bedeviling the Confederates, who are only just now coming over the crest of Hers Ridge. And are they ever coming? More than 3,000 of them have moved off the Chambersburg Pike and deployed into a line of battle that stretches across the pike for almost 1,000 yards.
Both sides.
And that's exactly what General Buford wanted them to do, because it took time to accomplish. And right now, that's what Buford wants. Time.
Trying to buy time.
He knows that 12,000 Union foot soldiers, First Corps of General John Reynolds, were camped last night 8 miles south of Gettysburg, and right now are on the march to join him.
They're on their way.
As we move along McPherson's Ridge, note the statue just ahead of us on the left. A lone figure carrying a musket by his side. This statue is a memorial to John Burns, who at age 69 was one of the oldest volunteers to the Union cause. Burns lived in town just on the other side of the seminary and rushed to join the battle when he heard the fighting here on McPherson's Ridge. A veteran of the War of 1812, he was wounded 3 times fighting in this field. As Burns lay wounded, he tossed his musket aside and then told the Confederates who came upon him that he had only been out looking for his lost cow when the battle swept
Mr.
over
Burns
him.
did not own a
You
cow.
see, civilians who took up arms were considered to be bushwhackers and were subject
Had a
to
uniform
summary
without
execution. But the Confederates promptly gathered Burns up and later took him to his home in town, where he recuperated fully from his wounds and became a hero
Now,
in the North.
Michigan, Indiana, and Wisconsin.
It is nearly 10 o'clock now,
Monument to your
and
right.
John Buford is watching the battle from the seminary cupola.
He's in the group of
Finally,
Buford.
General Reynolds rides up at a gallop. He's raced miles ahead of his troops and sees for himself now the dire situation. He sends a message back to General Meade.
The enemy is advancing in strong force, and I fear that he will go to the heights beyond the town before I can. I will fight him inch by inch, and if driven into the town, I will barricade the streets and hold him back for as long as I can.
Reynolds then races back south of town to hurry his foot soldiers along. The outnumbered cavalry will have to hold out a while longer.
Now, folks, during the battle, there's no road here, of course, but all this was back then was a big grove of trees with no undergrowth. You can see way through the woods on your right and way up through the woods on your left. On your right now come rebels. Tennessee, Alabama, North Carolina coming towards us. Yankees on our left coming over the
It
ridge.
is now 10:45.
AM, Wednesday, July 1st.
The first of Reynolds' foot soldiers are now racing onto this ridge. 1,500 men from New York and Pennsylvania. They rush into battle line just past McPherson Barn behind us. The Confederates now realize this is not just a small contingent of cavalry they're facing.
These guys,
And the
left
next
front.
units of Reynolds' infantry to burst onto the field are some of the toughest fighters in the Union Army. The Iron
They
Men.
would not bend.
1,800 rock-hard veterans from Wisconsin, Michigan, and Indiana. They wear very distinctive hats, almost like top hats, but with a little wider brim, which the soldiers always fold up on one side and pin to the
North
crown.
Carolina
To the ground. Reynolds is
dead.
dead. Killed instantly by a ball that's passed through his head.
Hardly an hour as he got here.
The spot where he
The best of
fell
the Yankee Army.
is marked by the small monument sitting
Over
atop
there,
the
that
mound of
monument
earth.
by the woods,
On
where he
your
found, about where he found on his horse. When
No
he turned
man
around,
died on that
looked at the
field with
seminary
more
behind
glory
us,
than he.
and was killed almost
Yet
immediately.
many
Well,
died.
actually immediately.
And there was
Frank.
much glory.
Just as Reynolds falls, the rest of the Iron Brigade storms into the
those
woods
woods.
and sends the Confederates reeling
Same
back.
time though, across the road in front of us, moving to our right.
Up ahead of us, on the other side of the Chambersburg Pike, things are not going so well for the Union. Several hundred Confederates from Mississippi and North Carolina have pushed the Yankees over there back toward town.
Back towards the woods, actually.
Command of the Union First Corps now rests with Abner Doubleday, who will gain some future notoriety in connection with the game of
Something, take
baseball.
a marker here.
On this day, however, his thoughts are far from any game. Seeing the trouble over there, across the road, he sends the 1 reserve regiment of the Iron Brigade, the 6th Wisconsin, on a dead run
come from
from their
behind us.
position 600 yards behind us.
You left before
They are headed for the Confederates directly across the road in front of us. Together with the survivors of 2 other regiments, they form up along the Chambersburg Pike and pound the Confederates with a volley. The rebels, now alert to the danger from this direction, run forward a few steps and drop into a newly dug railroad bed just on the other side of the road there.
Remember, no bridge back then.
Protected, they now unleash a furious fire into the troops
All in front of us.
With this, Colonel Rufus Dawes gives the order. Forward! Double quick!
Charge! They go across the fences.
These men take up murderous fire as they mount the fences that line the pike. The blue line burst across the road. Almost half were brought down by Confederates. But the others reach the rail cut and close off the end on your right,
Yankees.
where the grade level of the field is about the same as that of the rail bed. With this, the Confederates are trapped. The Federals now surround the cut and stand atop the banks. This could be a slaughter, but it's not. Colonel Dawes accepts the surrender of almost 300 Confederates.
Right down there in the railroad cut.
It is now 11 a.m. and a lull falls over
And
the
you'll
battle.
see the cut was too steep in the center to fire have effectively, or got in time was trapped.
General John Reynolds was 42 years old when he gave his life for his country in the woods behind us. He was never married and never known to have any romantic attachments. So it was a great mystery when his family discovered that the general's West Point ring was missing from his hand. In its place was a much smaller ring with an inscription, "Dear Kate." That same day, a young woman called on Reynolds' sister in Philadelphia. Her name was Catherine Hewitt. The mystery was solved. John Reynolds and Kate Hewitt met in California 3 years earlier and fell deeply in love. She followed him east when the war broke out. But he was a Protestant, and she was a Catholic. As she told John Reynolds she would do if he were killed, Catherine Hewitt entered a convent and became a Sister of Charity. She remained in touch with his family until 1868, when she disappeared without a trace.
Kind of like that. True story, different times.
pretty.